Welcome everyone to this edition of Out of Left Field from my home locker room. I'm Ken Kara. You have an all-access pass for the next 20 minutes or so as we check in with the Hazleton Area High School softball and baseball teams who had their seasons canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Plus, Joe Maddon has some advice for local athletes who had to miss out on playing this spring. Leading off, it's members of the 2020 Hazleton Area High School softball team. This was supposed to be the season. This was supposed to be the year history was made at the Hazleton Area High School. The Lady Cougar softball team only lost one player from their second place finish in the state last season. Some of the 2020 players were on the roster for their other second place finish in the state in 2017. The pieces were in place for the school's first team state championship, and everything seemed to be going according to plan after a few scrimmages.
They were very promising. I think you've heard a lot that this was the year that we were all kind of hoping for ever since we were young kids playing together. So we finally were able to come out and play an actual game, even though it's just a scrimmage. And it kind of just showed all that stuff that we were excited for was happening, and it was just as good as we thought it was going to be. And also with the younger kids coming up, we had a lot of new freshmen, so being able to play with all of them and give them experience, it was really something cool to watch. And like I said, it was very promising, but I mean, it was just Cougar softball, so it was the same thing it always is too.
But one more shot at a state championship just wasn't in the cards. The 2020 season was postponed and then canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
I truly believe that they would have brought home the first state championship to Hazleton area, to our school, to our community, and everyone missed out on that opportunity, and I feel so bad for them. And sometimes it's really hard to put into words, how we feel, but I don't know if I could have handled this situation as well as they have.
Yes, there is sadness for goals unreached and dreams unfulfilled.
Being upperclassman, I wanted to work on being a role model because my sister's a freshman, and being able to be a freshman when I was a freshman and having role models like juniors and seniors to look up to, it was really empowering.
There's also been some lessons learned.
I just learned to really appreciate things more now, because I know even the last scrimmage, coach had told us that we might have 2 weeks off, and I know that I was excited, 2 weeks off, but now I'm just wishing I would have really grasp the whole concept of the last game on that field with these girls, because now I wish I could go back to any moment with them more than ever.
The team has been having Zoom meetings together, and during a recent session they said goodbye to the seniors. It's been an emotional few weeks, but for as much as these Lady Cougars have been associated with winning, they've also been known to have a good time. And don't think for a second that fun-loving Cougar softball nature has been extinguished.
When you asked about the Zoom meetings, I have to chime in on, because Wolk's sitting there with her hat on. She's the biggest buster on this team, and for her not to say anything, I found that a little amazing.
Olivia, you're spending some of your time making parody videos of Coach, or are they about Coach?
Just throughout the season, I would kind of do this thing to him. It was called a scoop. And I kind of have a couple videos of me getting them. And the best one, I just found it last night. It was while we were at Penn State coming back from the creamery. And he asked me what I got, and I was oh, I got 2 scoops, and I just scooped them.
I think how people remember us is nothing compared to how we are off the field, because I think on the field we play with such poise and we know how to handle ourselves. But when we get in the dugout, it is unbelievable. You would not believe that we are the same girls that step on that field. One time, me and Livy were literally like wrestling each other. I don't know what we were fighting over. We just started wrestling, and I saw a coach start to walk over, and I was like, "Oh, like, Olivia, come on, like we gotta go, like he's gonna be mad." And he just came over and started like reffing the fight. Like he was like, "Wolk, you gotta do this. Like, go ahead, I'll get it." I was like, what is going on? Like, this is not normal. But it was just always so fun. Like, we knew how to have fun and when to get down to business. And I think that we balanced that very well. And that was why we were so successful, because it was fun to play. It wasn't like a job, or it wasn't like so horrible. It was just fun.
There may never be another group like the 2020 Cougar softball team, and that's exactly how they want to be remembered.
I kind of just want everyone to like remember like the bond and chemistry that we had as like a team, because I honestly don't think that like anyone got along as well as like this group of girls did. Like, it was just unbelievable how close we all were and how long we played together for.
If it's possible, the team is planning an intra-squad scrimmage in the summer to say a proper goodbye to the class of 2020. Then they can get together and grieve for what they lost and celebrate what they have: unquestionable talent and unshakable friendships. Coming up, two Hazleton area high school baseball players talk about the expectations they feel playing in a program that's turned out a bunch of professional players. Welcome back to Out of Left Field. In 2019, former Major League Baseball player Russ Canzler took over his former high school program at Hazleton area. The Cougars won a Districts 2, 4, 6A sub-regional championship in year 1 under Canzler to continue a legacy of excellence, but banners aren't the only things the Cougars are concerned about. A standard has been set for baseball in the Hazleton area. Many of the former and current professional baseball players from the area who helped set the bar are helping make sure it stays at such a high level.
Baseball has changed so much in this area, and you talked about guys like Justin and myself, and throw Kyle Landis into the mix there, and even going back to Jeff Antola. You know, there's 4 guys, and now you have the Biazzi brothers that are in professional baseball. So there's 6 people right there that have professional playing experience that are all coaching or helping. You know, the Biazzi boys do lessons with pitchers, and Coach Antola was plugged into Little League for a long time. Kyle helps us with our program. Justin has his travel program where he works with players. You know, so baseball, you're just seeing it change in this area. The 2019 Hazleton area high school baseball team had a season that would make those on this list proud. The Cougars fought and clawed their way to a Districts 2, 4, 6A sub-regional championship. Our record was a little deceiving because, you know, we were 18-3, but it kind of gives the impression that we were out there 10 running teams, and we weren't. You know, we were in some dogfight games, and I think district championship game is probably the best example. We were down, 5-0 into the 5th inning. And it didn't look great, but these kids just continually battled and never gave up. And as Jerome said, they just wanted to win. I think that was the thing that I was most excited about taking over the program, and seeing the kids and how they didn't want to lose anymore. They wanted to play winning baseball. And as a coach, that's all you want to do too, is just win. Current seniors Lance Book and Jerome Repetz were part of the championship team last year. Repetz was injured about halfway through the season. At that point, head coach Russ Canzler says he was one of the best hitters in the state. Repetz was planning on a big 2020, but things came to a halt when the season was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
I mean, definitely it's disappointing because I got hurt probably around halfway through the season last year. And this was going to be my senior year to come back and have an even better season than I was having last year. So, I mean, it's disappointing, but then I also understand that, we have to be cautious and we have to think for the people who can possibly die from this virus and all that stuff. So, even though I'm disappointed, I'm still understanding about why everything happened the way it happened.
That attitude takes us back to the standard of Cougar baseball. I bet you think the standard is all about winning championships and reaching the highest levels of baseball. Well, so did I, until I asked Book about it.
I feel like the standard isn't as much performance on the field, but just how you carry yourself and how good of a sportsman you are, because the skill part will take care of itself, but you handling yourself on the field, being a good teammate, and helping people out is what really I feel like stands out with the baseball players in the area.
That's how Repetz wants his team to be remembered, as fighters on the field and good guys off of it. Here's how head coach Russ Canzler will remember the two seniors you met in this story.
And I'll tell you 2 quick stories. You asked about moments that I remember. So I'll tell you Lance first. I remember being in the district championship, and again, we were down bad, 5-0. Probably one of the best overall catching performances that I've seen for a young man to come in there. And if you're at PNC Field, there's about 40 feet of backstop going in any direction. So if you let a ball go, a guy could probably advance 2 bases. So Lance is catching Brady Antolik and Chick DeGaetano. And I think there was a pitch I remember that Chicky threw like a slider or a fastball behind a right-handed batter in the dirt, and somehow Lance bodied it up and blocked it. And it was a big moment because they had a runner on second base and they're starting to rally, so we needed to stop. And Jerome, I'll remember my first high school, I always remember this, my first high school coaching experience was we were playing Easton last year, and we had lost to Easton. I think Mr. Barletta told us it was like a decade straight that we had lost to Easton. So, same thing, we're down against Easton, and Alex Mentler had a big inside the park home run, and then Jerome came up, I think it was the following inning, and had a bases clearing. I don't think Jerome hit many triples, so I'm going to say it was a double. Had a bases clearing double, and I almost ran out onto the field. Like, I forgot for a moment that I was a coach and I couldn't go running the home plate to greet people, so I had to like back off and play it cool. But I'll always remember that. And then it seemed like for the time, Jerome, that's all he did was pepper that right center gap for the rest of the season.
Not everyone gets a chance to play professional baseball or play for a championship. The 2020 Cougars didn't even get a chance to play a regular season game together, but everyone gets a chance to make a difference in this world.
As we said, we're all frustrated and we're all confused, and this is all uncharted territory for everyone. You keep in mind the hard work that you put in, how hard you guys work to set a goal for yourself and try to accomplish it. And this is a big lesson. I mean, sometimes life isn't fair, and there's always somebody out there that's hurting more than you are, no matter how bad you think it is. So you keep that perspective. You never lose the lessons that you learned when you play sport, how it taught you how to be a man, how to handle your business well, how to prepare for victory, how to handle defeat the right way, how to pick yourself up. All those things that they learned being a student athlete at Hazleton area, it's going to carry them for the rest of their lives. Any trials or tribulations that they may have in college, or whether it's baseball or academically or in their life, they're better men for it. And baseball is the most humbling sport. It'll always teach you those lessons. So I know that, even though we didn't get to play the season this year, I know our seniors are very, very well equipped to go out into the world and be a force.
Coming up next, Los Angeles Angels manager Joe Maddon checks in back home and discusses the pandemic, some Hazleton High memories, and he gives advice to local athletes. Thank you all for spending some time out in left field with me. Now gather round for story time. So early on in my career, I went to cover Joe Maddon as manager of the Tampa Bay Rays at Camden Yards in Baltimore. I stood nervously in the dugout waiting for Joe, and I recognized baseball legend and Rays advisor at the time, Don Zimmer, on the bench. I was too nervous to speak, but he asked, "So where are you from?" Somehow I said Hazleton. A huge smile formed on his face as he offered to do an interview with me. That's how it's always been with Joe's staff, players, and the organization he's with. It seems like they all know how important Hazleton is to him. When the COVID-19 pandemic started to spread through the Hazleton area, Joe and some of his players recorded PSAs to run in the area to remind people of the importance of social distancing and staying at home. Plus, the Hazleton Integration Project that he helped found started giving out meals once a week to those in need. And Joe once again made time for the local Hazleton media. This is a great pleasure. We have Hazleton's own Joe Maddon with us, the manager of the Los Angeles Angels. And Joe, when all of this started, this COVID-19 pandemic really hitting Pennsylvania and the whole country, we were trying to bring people on to inspire people in the area. And honestly, it was kind of selfishly for my purposes too. I brought in a sports psychologist who I always look to for advice. And you, I'm being very honest, were the first person I thought of. I was like, I wish I could hear Joe Maddon's thoughts on what's going on right now. You always seem so calm. You always have a great perspective. You seem to inspire people. So no pressure, but how have you been approaching life during this pandemic?
Obviously, there's the awful side of all of this. We're all being impacted, and death is the part of this that it will never be able to wrap our minds around. All the suffering families have had to endure. I mean, a month ago, somebody's mom or dad or grandparent was perfectly healthy, and all of a sudden they're gone. That is difficult, and there's no cutting or beating around the bush with that. There's no way to paint a rosy picture. That's horrible. After all that, moving it forward, to me, I think there's going to be a ton of really wonderful positives that are going to come out of all this on the other side, just down to the point of how we interact as human beings, and that we'll never take anything for granted. We shouldn't take anything for granted ever again after having to endure this. And like our freedoms, our liberties, in a sense, subtracted, it's almost like it is like living in a different country or suppressed country that a lot of people have to do kind of all the time, but absolutely out of necessity in this situation. Positive side, like I said, I think we're going to develop better interpersonal relationships. And beyond that, selfishly, I've had like a month or so now to just really slow it down without any kind of concern about what's going to happen. I'm not preoccupied at all. So I really, for me, I think I've developed a higher degree of mental clarity personally, and I want to believe I'll be able to share that with others. And I also want to believe I'm going to be a better person because of all this. Again, like I'm saying, there's all these things that we've been taking for granted, things that we do every day that's always there for us, right down to being able to run down to your favorite restaurant, grab something to eat, go to a ball game, go to your kids' play, interact with the PTA, whatever that might be, gone, subtracted, can't do it. So when this all comes back, I think there's going to be a higher level of appreciation just about life in general. Beyond that, there's other unforeseen when we talk about the economy and what's going on right now, there's got to be a lot of new thoughts and ideas born of all this that I think is going to stimulate as we move it further. People losing their jobs now, horrible. And you hear about the fact that it's going to be difficult for people to regain the same job that they had when they come back. I want to believe that even if it's not the same job, there's something else going to be created, and hopefully even better than the job that you had left. So I'm staying with the positive method right here. I do believe, I believe in our spirit, the American spirit, and now the global spirit, that we'll figure this out. And if anything, if we come together as even a tighter team, that we have each other's backs even more, it's going to be even better then.
If it's possible, I think I've connected with some people in a way I never had. And that goes with celebrities and baseball players, baseball managers, seeing their homes. You showed me the van you're in today, your RV. Like, it's this different connection. People are showing us different parts of their lives. We're trying to do that on SSP TV too. Share some personal stories. So I'm actually wearing, today it's 32 years since my father passed away on May 1st when we're recording this. And I'm actually wearing his Hazleton High School leather jacket, Joe. This was his football uniform. And there's a little show and tell segment, and this is his Mounts helmet that he wore. He was number 44. And I thought maybe this would jog your memory a little bit and give us some good Hazleton High stories or something you could share from your past.
First of all, the Letterman's jacket, I lost my last one, and it had the white leather sleeves on it. When you had, obviously I noticed that, and I didn't realize the connection with your pop with number 44, but my God, I mean, that jacket, that's kind of one of those sacred things, and I have no idea where it is. I lost it, and I feel horrible about that. I get to the high school, and I'm not starting, and that first fall practice, wow, it was down at Carmen Geist, actually, and I got the crap beat out of me down there, man. I mean, guys were just, because, you're this new young guy, supposed to be pretty good, So like the seniors beat me up pretty good in all the drills. So the first game I don't start, I get in at the latter part of the game. We're losing Old Forge in Old Forge. And so I just let it fly. I just started throwing some balls, and I don't even know if I did good or not. I just knew that I had to show off my arm to get in the lineup next week. Adam calls me in, tells me I'm starting, and Tony's going to play fullback. And to Tony's credit, he didn't whine, complain, whatever. Tony and I are good friends, and he went back there, and he was like a battering ram. He was so tough. Ended up going to Syracuse. But we go to Berwick, and I'm pretty sure the score was 18-6, something like that. We win. Pretty sure it was in Berwick, right? And a couple sprint out passes made it nice and easy for me. Adam didn't put me in a lot of peril trying different plays. Eventually as I learned the offense more, get comfortable with it, we did more things. But my first start against Berwick, and we lost. We beat them 2 out of 3. Never lost to West Hazelton. Lost once to Berwick, which still obviously sticks in my proverbial craw, but it was great. It made you tough. Our practices were incredibly difficult. It was a toughness about the kids and playing there that I am so pleased and proud and happy that I was able to go through all that.
I did an interview with the Hazelton area softball team. They made it to 2 state finals, this group. This was their senior year. They were so positive. They're a fun group, but there was a sadness, and you could feel it. And I got emotional almost talking to them. Any thoughts or advice to local athletes?
Be sad. Be upset. But never feel sorry for yourself. Just don't do that. Don't do that, because I've always told my guys, when you start feeling sorry for yourself, that's one person. And then maybe your mom might also, but I know my mom would. Beanie would kick me in the butt. So don't feel sorry for yourself. There's historically, our parents and our grandparents have gone through a heck of a lot worse than what we're going through right now. I absolutely believe that. So don't feel sorry for yourself. Really revel in your accomplishments. Know what you have done has been great, and it's going to be remembered. And you could create conjecture as much as you want moving down the road, but be grateful and thankful for what you just accomplished. And the fact that this moment was subtracted just based on really extraordinary circumstances happens sometimes. We just don't always get what we want. That's part of life too. So don't feel sorry for yourself. Revel in your accomplishments. Be supportive of one another and keep moving it forward. It's just tough sometimes, and you got to fight through it. You got to stay true to yourself. You got to find your authentic self and go out there and promote that being into the world. And when you do that, everybody's going to gain strength around you. I promise you. That's when you become a force multiplier. So the moment you start complaining and pointing fingers, brother, I don't want you on the Angels. I don't want you on the Angels at all. I don't want you on the Mountaineers. I don't want you to be a Leopard. The person that really, don't be a subtractor, be an adder.
Thank you all for watching this edition of Out of Left Field. Stay safe, everyone. Stay positive, take care of each other, and take it easy.